Video and audio history log. Weaver John Searsman, California, October 21st, 2020. Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. What the hell was I saying originally here? It's taking an English class and trying to understand what the hell's going on. For students who take English classes, they think it's a joke. Sometimes you do need those kind of English skills to get you by, because when you're in different companies, they will expect you to write letters. And if you have the proper education for it, if you have the technique and training, you can pretty much get past with a lot of things. The only issue is those who want to go for the academia try to take as much classes like that as possible, because he trains you for better and harder things to do, such as being an accomplished novelist, poetry. But people actually don't need that kind of specific collegiate education, just good working knowledge of English, or a language that they're comfortable with. But when you're taking certain classes like literature classes that describe time periods back then and people who are writing them and then understanding the time periods themselves, it's basically history and English together, such as the class I've got right now called American Literature. From pre-colonial times all the way through now. The section that we're studying at this point over here is concerning about slavery. It was being written by former slaves who've somehow freed themselves or still find themselves in that situation during that time of human cruelty and injustice. You know, it's one thing when they kept talking about that and also trying to talk about Black History Month, and we really didn't take the Black History Month all that serious in school. We didn't. It was like a new novella for us, a new concept. We actually had injustice. And the social stigmas we were growing up under, concerning about racial tensions for every race going on at that point, it was a bit rattling. Scratch. Only because we didn't understand what the hell was going on. We never had the context for the damn thing in the first place. Growing up as a kid, I watched the show Roots. I'm a young kid watching Roots, and I'm watching how slavery happens, and I didn't have the context. I was just learning about it right there and then. It was a hell of a week-long series. It had a hell of a lot of ratings that BBC did. And it promoted a lot of stars out there. Catapulted one gentleman, LeVar Burton, into stardom like crazy. That he has benefited and used those benefits to help other people. It was education like crazy. The people needed to be educated on what was going on back there, but also educated about literature. And he constantly battles against illiteracy. His Reading Rainbow programs are outstanding. So I've heard. I've never seen them, because I've always been a literature kind of guy. I read books. Try to understand context. Try to understand what the hell I was reading. I could quote a lot of them, but to understand it took age of maturity. And then seeing the horrific things going on, I didn't have the context. I didn't have the horror attached to it. When I'm seeing Hollywood movies concerning about cruelty to people, it goes on one after the other, especially when I was growing up as a young kid. There was no context during that time. Even if you get educated over it, you still didn't have the context. And growing up as an adult and maturing, I get context a great deal, more and more and more. interactions with people. Interactions with people. Seeing things happening around me, either on video or YouTube, or reading about it in the paper, or hearing about it, or even just talking about the human interactions between people. You'll learn a hell of a lot of things about how things were being treated for people, how people felt they were being isolated one way or another and being mistreated because of race, color, skin, religion, creed. And the more I kept diving in as a mature man into more history, more political science, more in depth of what was going on, even including through literature at this point over here. How does one how does one communicate the feelings that are so stirred up inside me? There is nothing to isolate specifically to point to this, to point to this, and point to this, and point to that. To bring it out, to explain and show and put into a context for people to understand. All I was feeling is my gut was going crazy at that point. I have a professor of English Lit, doing American literature at this point over here. Wonderful lady. And she's showing these horrific images concerning about slavery. I'm seeing images of every other kind of misdeeds done to man, either in Hollywood theatrics or even actual pictures of seeing them. And I felt ugly, disgusted, wanted to throw up on camera. I wanted to run to the bathroom and just not deal with the class. Shut everything else down. I could not express the adequate horror I felt. There was like almost, I couldn't find the right words to communicate effectively what the hell I was feeling. In fact, I'm still having a hard time trying to communicate that. And letting someone know why. Why am I like this right now? I'm identifying with a hell of a lot of aspects of the damn thing that could have been me, either on the receiving end or on the giving end. And that's what horrifies me a hell of a lot. If I was actually that insensitive, if I was actually that inhuman, if I was so caught up with a damn fanaticism of sort that I failed to see humanity for what it was worth. How the hell am I supposed to express that kind of feeling and outrage towards people? Or about the things people are doing at this point over here and spewing out all the damn time. A couple of decades ago, my family and I went over to the Holocaust Museum out in Los Angeles. Simon Wiesenthal Center. We saw the atrocities. We saw about the riots that happened back in the 90s. We saw the riots, what happened back in the 50s and 60s. Actually, in the 60s at that point over there. We saw what happened in Nazi Germany. We saw, we felt. Decades earlier, when I was going over to college over years, they had a survivor of Auschwitz. He showed us the numbers on his wrist. It was going over their damn heads. It was going over the damn students' heads. The faculty were understanding about this damn thing because they brought the guy over to do his lecture series, and I sat in and listened. But it wasn't jiving into me until I actually went to the Simon Wiesenthal Center to talk to a couple of rabbis over there. They get a better perspective. My brother, better example at this point over here. Growing up as a kid, he went over to elementary school, and he was doing the swastikas left and right. He thought they were damn cool. My mother's boyfriend, the boyfriend of my mother's, was Jewish. His family survived one of the death camps. He was lucky. He fought in the war, injured his finger, blew it off. He saw that and damn near went unglued to my brother. And Ma had to educate him a little bit, and they had to take him over to the Simon Wiesenthal Museum of Tolerance out in Los Angeles. And in saying this, my brother was made aware of what the hell he did. He was offending people left and right in school. He had to go in front of people to publicly apologize, to humiliate and humble himself in front of everybody of what the hell he learned. He did this. He did this. Had a better perspective of tolerance of others, regardless of who or what they are or what they believe in. We have to be reminded of that constantly. We have to be aware of that constantly. Being blinded, being of faith is one thing, but to be in the fanaticism of the damn thing, to prove that your faith is the absolute and you have to drive it into the people. You want to be compassionate, and then you're being a royal asshole about it. And it still drives home in these books, and I'm going to keep them as reminders. Because they are stories that need to be told. They are stories that need to be said out loud. A lady named of Whitley, a slave. Phyllis Whitley. She was brought over. She was brought into one of those monstrous boats. She was taught what Christianity was supposed to be and saw the demonstrations of what it was being, actually, of being practiced. And she made damn sure that she had to protect her ass at that point. She wrote one poetry and she was trying to demonstrate her working knowledge of the English language and the commandment. And then wrote another letter to somebody else in London expressing her own damn opinions about it, how she saw the hypocrisy of it. A guy named Beneke wrote to Thomas Jefferson. Benaki, actually. And Benaki wrote to Thomas Jefferson concerning about what the hell he was going through. Letters from Benaki. There was a letter that was generated and hit home of what he knew and studied about slavery and freedom. And that really hit home in me. How we take it for granted. How we take things for granted. How we're supposed to understand that things are not supposed to happen this way, but they are happening. And for some of those other papers that I've written concerning about how the Europeans have treated people and other people, it just never ceases to amaze me. Because it hurts like a son of a bitch. The letter is also available on a website concerning about Thomas Jefferson's letter. That's why I can't find it in the damn book around how it was. reading and also listening to an audio portion of it. And to me, it was like grievances that he addressed. Jefferson brushed them off, saying he's going to forward to others and he understands the situation. Jefferson, being a slaveholder himself, he's talking about freedom for people at this point over here, and yet during that time, they didn't quite consider slaves as people. Until later on. Some of them actually fought for freedom, and then got the hell out of America, and then found a situation similar in England. Even in England, they enslaved Irish people. And other people of different races and colors and creeds. Got to the point where there was one particular slave. Someone I got to write an essay on. And do a hell of a job on this one. This guy I got to write like crazy. Obadiah? Is that it? Obadiah? No. Eladia? Alada Equiano. Or Gustavus Vasa, the African. He has got a long listing book. I downloaded the damn thing, but also portions of the chapter in here too. That describe concerning his race, the African race, being enslaved and treated and seeing the hypocrisy of everything else. That's what they keep writing about. The hypocrisy of what we want for freedom for people these days, but we don't recognize you as people at this point over here, because if you recognize you as a people, oh my God, that's going to be scary as hell, because then we have to live up to the damn concepts we got. We wanted the concepts for ourselves at this point. And basically, they kept telling me that we did the Declaration of Independence for elitism. Basically. The haves versus the have-nots. The haves got sick and tired of England. So they got off their dead asses and wrote something. And those who didn't have anything, well, those were being indebted as indentured servants one way or another. They had no choice. Either they stayed with the British and became traitors to the colonies, or else they were traitors to the British Empire and be considered revolutionaries. Damned if you do and damned if you don't. If you stayed the hell out of the damn thing, you're still damned because you weren't picking a side. You didn't give a shit. Seems like it's happening these days, I swear. We're not treating each other as people. We're not treating each other as individuals these days. I hear it all the fucking time on the news. You like the president who likes to do the division and derision at this point over here, blames everybody else for his own stupidity, his own actions, his own initiations of what he's doing at this point over here. And yet those who are converted into his damn mentality, his own way of thinking, they don't see it, they don't want to see it, they're blinded by it. Us versus them. They think it's a fun game? It's like you just want to take a baseball bat to every one of those damn things and beat the shit out of it and say, do you understand what I'm standing here? You are turning people into monsters at this point over here because you are a monster at this point over here. You're Frankenstein creating creations left and right out of your ass. And then the creations have to keep asking, why am I here? Too much context in my life. Too much of reading books, too much of reading and seeing movies, and too much saying things at the same time. Oh my God, I am losing it. Switch from one context to another context, switch one thing to another thing at this point over here. Trying to make sure that there's stability and sanity at this point over here. No wonder I rather sleep more and escape from a reality at this point over here, which is driving me mad. And the older I get, the worse I get, because I'm looking at the madcap insanity of humanity at this point over here, treating and mistreating each other, lying to each other like crazy, wanting to show that it is the most worthy people on earth,
and then backstab people left and right. And the other people are like, oh, we're good, we're good, we're good. Oh, you're not. There is no saying that you're good. There's only demonstration of it. There's only where your acts of compassion or charity of where you lie. And then, what do you say in the darkness to yourself? What do you say in the mirror? What do you say anywhere else? Away from prying ears and eyes. What do you say to yourself? Because I know there's only one confession up there. One confessor up there is listening and listening to all the crap going on, sees in between the lines and the words and the solos and the caricatures. And we also know that too. We know that. We know it too damn well. You're probably thinking I'm mad. Well, maybe I am mad. Maybe I've lost my sanity because living in this world, one has to become insane to be sane. At the fall, which whether fanaticism you're looking at here, which side's the better one? It makes me sick to my stomach. It makes me sick to my stomach for all the damn ideals we keep doing. We are the most hypocritical actually, creatures created in the universe. We can't get it together. We couldn't have got it together a hell of a long while ago. We're still having a hard time struggling this round. Will there be a time when we actually get our head out of our asses and actually treat people like they're supposed to be treated in the first place, with kindness and dignity, humanity and generosity, and all that good stuff that we keep preaching? Or we're going to be burning ourselves alive in effigy in a nuclear fire or worse. That's what scares the hell out of me, is the worst. And if we do happen to deal with the nuclear fires, I hope to be right underneath one of those damn bombs. I don't want to live in the aftermath. I don't want to see what's coming up next. I don't even want to know it. I just want to get myself vaporized at this point. Make a living spam with a can at this point over here. I want to be dead. I want to be dead. Because I will deal with an eternity of dealing and living with myself, knowing maybe I should have done better, questioning myself. Because I'm not doing any better. I can't change people's natures. The only nature I can change is myself. I can only change my own attitude. I can change whatever kind of aspects I've got of me, if I can. And the hardest point about it is to accept there are certain things and some things in me that I can't change. It's hard to find out which is which. It's hard to find out what means more and what doesn't. Can we see any hope for humanity? Honest to God, I don't see it. But then again, maybe I'm not looking hard enough. Maybe I'm not looking and hearing it. Maybe I'm so damn blind and caught up with my own deep morbid thoughts about stuff like this. Maybe I'm not seeing what people are trying to sell that seems to be legitimate or not. I have gotten so damn jaundiced. I have gotten so damn chagrined. I am hardened. My essays are dark enough as it is, because I'm still exploring more of the darkness instead of looking at the light. Instead of looking outside and seeing possible hope, even just for a few brief hours of sunlight, maybe there's some kind of kindness or goodness happening at this point. Maybe if there's some kind of charity, maybe if there's some shred or relic of something to be salvaged. Something that tells us that we were actually worth something at one time in our life. This still is. Something that would, at least for 24 hours, allow me to feel and be human and appreciate humanity around me. My own actions, my own thoughts have a problem. Lousy timing and trying to find the opportunities too. Closed one off in a cave, a mausoleum. I have a hard time. Oh, oh, coming. Oh, rolling. Oh, hang up. FedEx. Expecting a hat, and I was expecting a pin, I lost down at Manhattan. I get the damn Laker pin. Well, still it's a good pin. I'm not going to dismiss it, and I'm not going to discount it either. But other things I may or may not. We'll see what happens. But suffice it to say, it's not exactly all the damn physical items or objects. It's actions of people. How they act, how they behave. Are they sincere? Or are they just play acting? Said before, being dark and jaundiced. It's hard for me to understand that. Because I'm always looking for someone else ready to backstab my ass. And you know that really sucks. It really does. Because then I can't feel myself. I still having a hard time trying to feel who and what I am these days. And looking at myself these days, if I happen to value more and more junk, that means I'm not valuing what's going on inside. You know, it's a lot of junk I collect. A lot of junk I lost a long time ago, but it's still a lot of gimcracks and hats and pins and toys and shirts and weird-ass jackets and patches and stuff. It doesn't exactly make a personality. It just shows what kind of a weirdness he shows. Some things he appreciates, other things he or she doesn't. I don't know. I have to watch out for the genders. I had to get this off my damn chest. I had to get this off my chest. I mean, after I've seen those pictures of humanity at this point over here, of how people have mistreated others, I am just not quite convinced that I'm still doing what I should be doing. Or what I can do more than what I'm not doing more of. I'm a fool, I'm an idiot. Goes without saying. And if I can't pay attention to that, what the hell do I pay attention to? Anyway, it's enough of my belly aching right now as it is.
I may or may not be able to get this thing posted. I don't know if I do. I'll drive people crazy more with this. But this is something I had to get off my chest. This was something I needed to do for me. Because after looking at other darker natures of people, I still want to look at the lighter nature of people. But I turn on the news, and am I going to see both, or am I going to be throwing up at both? That's what happened.